Hey everyone, welcome back to XGate Dental. I'm Emmanuel, and we are here to discuss new procedures in the field of dentistry. We'll provide interesting new cases to exhibit how doctors use our products to solve complicated dental cases, so don't forget to subscribe and follow to stay up to date, and let's get started. Today we want to talk about the ability to make a crown and the post itself with a single unit. This way, when you want to prepare a tooth and you want to make a crown on that tooth, you don't need to remove too much material, and it can be as constructive as possible. You can leave most of the tooth and you don't need to remove from the buccal side, from the palatal side, from both of the mesial distal. And with the new cement, with the new adhesive protocols, you can mount the crown on the prepared tooth while leaving most of the tooth unprepared and still have the maximum volume of the tooth remaining. Now, the chances of success for this type of treatment are much higher, because when you want to mount a crown on a minimally removed tooth, you have a higher chance for the success for this type of restoration, because the thicker the walls of the tooth, the less it will break and it will hold much better. When you have a root canal treatment, the percent of success of the treatment is not that big. You have about 50% chance in about 5 years for success. So you want to leave as much tooth as possible and you want to cement the tooth. When you make the root canal treatment, you need to remove material from the inside part of the tooth where the nerve is itself. And when you want to mount the crown on this tooth, you want to remove material from the outer part of the tooth. So the walls of the tooth are very thin and the crown sits on these walls. And because they're very thin, you have a high chance for breakage. Most of the time, what you have is a root fracture on these kinds of teeth. Now, for example, in premolars, you have it in a very high percentage. So in these cases, what we want is to leave the tooth with the tooth walls as thick as possible and have a restoration that mounts on these walls and adheres to these walls. And the restoration itself won't break. The failure itself is coming from the tooth and not from the crown. If you have the ability to keep the tooth dry without any moisture, without any saliva, without any blood, you can't cement the crown on the tooth with the core in one piece. Instead of making a crown, you just cement and you just mount the crown on the teeth. And because the crown is coming with the post itself, it holds the tooth from all of the sides, from the inside and from the outside. You can either make an impression any traditional way, or right now what we do is scan the tooth from the outside and the inside, because the intraoral scanner, it has a depth view of around 20 millimeters. So when you put the tip of the scanner on top of the teeth, you can see inside the tooth for about 10 millimeters. So when you make the tooth hollow for the core itself, you can see everything with the scanner. And if you have the right shape, you can even see all of its walls with different types of angulation of the scanner. Doctors are using intraoral scanner in root canal treatments because instead of making a traditional impression and then scanning the impression itself, you don't have anything that's moving. You already have the tooth itself and you have the inside part. If you don't have any saliva or any blood, you can scan it. So if you have a root canal treatment, you can clean the tooth, make it dry, and just scan it. This is the crown mounted. You can see that the crown itself is glazed in the color of the tooth, and you don't see any line that separates between the tooth and the crown itself. So you have perfect adhesion here. You don't have any aesthetical issues. If you have good adhesion and if you have good preparation of the tooth, it won't become a failure point. The only problem with this kind of line is sometimes after root canal treatment, the tooth loses a little bit of its color, becomes a little bit gray. This can be an aesthetical issue. So in this case, maybe you want the buccal side to remove a little bit more from the tooth because you want to restore the aesthetical aspects of the tooth. But you'll have horizontal seats for the crown itself. You won't have any possibility for the crown to break into two. Thank you everyone that joined in to learn some new and interesting information. Make sure to stay tuned for more. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow. Thank you, and see you guys next time.